Hey YouTube, it's Mike, aka Plastic Life, and I got a double review for you today on the Marvel Legends X-Men 97 wave Wolverine and Bishop. This wave was highly anticipated due to the upcoming animated series on Disney+, and the figures are finally here, so let's crack them open and see what we got. And here is Wolverine and Bishop out of their boxes, and I think they look okay. They're based on the animation in the upcoming X-Men 97 animated series on Disney+, so they're styled accordingly. Bishop is on a newer body that we haven't seen in the past. The Wolverine is on the same body that we've essentially seen in the last few Wolverine releases, but with some modifications. I'll review him first, and I'll keep it short, no pun intended. So we'll get Bishop out of the way, and we'll take a closer look at Wolverine. So like I said, Wolverine is on the same body that we've seen in the past, except we have some modifications. He has sculpted shorts now, instead of just the thong-ish thing. But sculpted shorts with some sculpted lines in there, so that looks pretty good. He also has new claws. Instead of the old janky Marvel Legends claws that came in the package, they were all just like mangled like this, and you can never get them straight, even with heating them up with a hairdryer. But these ones came out nice and straight. They are very dull looking though. They don't have paint on them. They're just in a sculpted gray plastic. So it kind of looks, you know, cheap. But I'm happy that they're at least straight and that they're newer design. We have our pinless tech now that we've seen in the latest Marvel Legends, but we don't have any holes in the elbows for the pins there. And the same thing goes in the knees. So the pinless tech, some people don't like it because they find that the joints get loose over time. I like it from a photography's perspective because I don't have to go in and use Photoshop to edit out the little circles there. So I'm pretty happy that they chose to go that route. He has sculpted arm hair, but he doesn't have any paint. So it ends up just looking like he's badly scarred. Almost like a Wade Wilson Deadpool skin. And that kind of sucks. Also makes it look really cheap. And then if you look at his face, this is probably based on the animation, but he has little beard hairs, but they're very spotted, so he kind of looks like an adolescent with his little speckled beard hair there. But that could just be based on the animation. And when you look at the box art, you can see that he has just a few little chin hairs there. So I think that kind of matches up, and that's the look that they were going for. Here's a look at the back of the figure. I've seen this before, but it's pretty clean now with the pinless tech. One major issue that I'm having with this figure already right off the bat, out of the package, is, let's see if I can get this on camera, but on that bicep there, the plastic has already started to crack. And that is just absolutely unacceptable. And it's the same thing on the other side. You can see the plastic has just started to split and sort of marble. And usually we see this over time with Marvel Legends, but this is kind of right out of the box. It's only been on my desk for 2 days now, and it's already started like that, and that's really, really disappointing. For the accessories, Wolverine comes with a pair of fists with no claws. It came out okay. Doesn't come with any open palms, which is, you know, a little upsetting when they raise the price of these Marvel Legends, but they don't give us a lot more. And he comes with a nice neutral head sculpt. And the neutral head sculpt has the little chin hairs that look pretty funny. But yeah, again, that's probably just the design of the character. And we've seen this before, but he comes with his hood pulled down that you can put underneath the head sculpt and lay it across his traps to create that look that he's taken the hood off. When you put that hood on, there's a massive gap there, so it doesn't sit flush on his traps. But what you can do is get a hairdryer and heat it up. It's a soft, malleable plastic. Heat it up, mold it to the position that you want, and then put some cold water on it to set it in position, and that should look pretty good when it's set. Swapping out the head sculpt, you just gotta grab and pull. When you go to put on this Wolverine head sculpt, these points on the horns are very thin. If you grab and go to put the head sculpt on and your finger pushes down on those, you will bend them, and there's a possibility that they will snap. I have bent this one slightly, and I see the plastic starting to whiten there, which shows that the stress that's being caused is going to cause that part to crack. So be very careful when you're putting on that head sculpt. I'm just going to put my thumb in between the two horns and really just push hard onto the peg, and there we go. Get that head sculpt on, and I think that looks really good. That's a nice wide horns, looks very 90-esque for Wolverine. Looks really cool, but again, just be careful when you're applying force that you don't have your fingers touching those horns when you're pushing downwards. Getting onto the articulation for the Wolverine, we've seen this a lot in the past with his body, but he can look up very far and he can look down about that much. You can rotate to the side and side, and you can rotate all the way around. Just be very careful again that you don't push down on these horns. The shoulders can move up about that much. There is a bicep swivel. You have your double jointed elbows. The shoulder pads are pegged in on either side here, and they just move in one direction. The wrists, they have just the one hinge, so they can move up and they can fold inwards. We have a diaphragm joint here. Gives you a lot of movement this way. Gives you even more movement backwards. There is rotation at the waist, but the belt can get in the way. So you need to just pull the belt up slightly over top of the shorts so that you can see that the rotation there. If that belt is over top here, you end up just stressing the belt when you move. Forgot to mention that there is a shoulder butterfly joint that stretches very far and not that far forward because the shoulder pad is in the way. The legs move up this much. There is a rotation at the thigh. They move back that much. He can spread his legs in almost a full split. Actually, pretty much a full split. That's really good good range there. The knees are double jointed as well with that nice pinless tech. You might have to apply some heat and possibly even force it. You have boot cut. Give you some extra range there. And then we have our standard Marvel Legends toe and ankle movement. Moving on to Bishop now, and this figure looks pretty good too. It's a nice updated body from the old Bishop figure that I'll show a little bit later. We have a new head sculpt. He doesn't have the whited out eyes like he did in the past, and he also doesn't have the long curly greasy hair like the typical 90s, awesome long curls. But we have some, improvements in the posture, mainly with the previous figure. I might just bring this figure in right now, actually. The previous Bishop figure, his shoulders were set back and his chest was just kind of flared out. His chin was kind of tucked in and it didn't look good, and I'll show you a little bit more of that later. But this one looks a lot more flush and a lot better. The harness for the gun doesn't have a strap across there, so it's kind of weird. It's almost like he's got a one-sided backpack. I'm not sure if that's actually part of the character's design or not, but yeah, it's like a one-sided backpack. And these things just peg into the top of the shoulder. Can you remove it? I don't really want to try. But yeah, the bands now, they are sculpted on the figure. No, they are free floating, but they're not going to slide off like how some of the Cyclops figures, they slide off as well. The belt is in one spot. It's glued into one spot there. The ascot, handkerchief, I don't know what this is. Bandana. It's tabbed into the back of his neck there, or sits below the neck there, so you can't actually remove that. Yeah, this figure looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the way that it came out, and it looks really cool with its pinless technology now. The gun is a lot smaller than the previous one, but yeah. Bishop comes with another set of hands that are both trigger fingers, one for the right and one for the left. And he also comes with his gun, and this gun is just plastic. It's actually the rubbery kind of plastic, which is terrible because a lot of times these things come in the package and they're just all warped, and it's very difficult to get them back into their natural position. And they didn't cut the nub off on the, oh boy, this is just, you know, whatever, you get what you paid for. Why does he not come with an extra fist? Why you give us one fist and then one open hand, but no matching hands, I swear. To swap out the hands, you just grab on and pull, and then you can swap. Uh-oh, we lost a band. Okay, yeah, so just make sure when you take off the hand that you don't drop the little cuff there. You just peg in the wrist into the port, and at least with this hand, he does have a hinge that moves up and down in the opposite way, which is good for when you're holding on to the weapons, that you just port in there like so, and then he can hang on to his gun, and then you can, you know, if you want to shoot in a downwards direction, you can just tilt it downwards, or if you want to shoot upwards, you can shoot upwards that way. Getting into the articulation for Bishop, he can look up about that much, and he can look down about that much. There is rotation in the neck. You can go all the way around if you wanted to, and you can go side to side to create a little bit of expression. You can bring the arms up all the way around, but after this particular point, you start to put stress on this shoulder strap here. So you don't want to be rotating it and putting stress on that, because you'll pull the peg out or possibly even tear the peg out because it is glued into the shoulder there. You can bring the arm up about that much, and you can rotate at the bicep. There is a nice double jointed elbow. And on this particular wrist, there is a hinge that goes up and down. And on this wrist, there is a hinge that moves in and out. He can bend forward at the waist about that much in an ab cut, and he can bend back about that much. The belt is glued in a position so that it's not restricted like how the Wolverine's is, so you can rotate freely side to side. You can kick up this much. There is rotation at the thigh. He can come out almost in the splits, basically the splits. There is a double jointed knee. That is, oh my goodness. Okay, if your Marvel Legends with the pinless tech run into this problem where I had to apply a lot of force just to bend that knee, make sure you use a hairdryer, heat up this area, and then when the plastic is soft enough, it should be able to bend. Okay, don't do what I just did there where I forced the joint, because I mean these things are pretty durable, these Marvel Legends, but there's a possibility that you can just tear the plastic there. And yes, I'm putting a lot of force on there, and on this joint right here, we're putting a lot of stress on that. There is a boot cut. You can go all the way around if you needed to. We have our standard Marvel Legends ankles that go up and down, and they have very generous rotation as well. Here's Bishop and the previous Bishop figure that we've had, and you can see that definitely the new sculpt is a lot more proportionate. He doesn't look so kind of barrel-chested, very heavy chested there. And then his shoulders look a lot better on the newer one. As you can see, the shoulders on the older one were so small and narrow, and then the bicep and tricep were just massive. But they look a little bit better on the newer one. The gun is more compact, and I guess the skin tones are different, but let's pluck the head sculpt off. and see what that looks like. So it fits perfectly on there, but you have a slight difference in the skin tone between the arms and the head sculpt. The head sculpt is slightly darker, but that kind of looks cool. I do wish he kind of kept this, you know, greasy, long 90s hair there. That would look awesome. Here's Wolverine next to a Mafex Wolverine, and I think their heights are pretty much the same. The Mafex one is a little bit taller. If you wanted to, you could put these two together as well. Alright, so I did sell off most of my Marvel Legends X-Men because I did see the promotional images for these 97 figures, and I thought it would be good to just have the updated pinless technology. But from what I do have left over, here is a Nightcrawler. Here is a Beast. And here is a Colossus. These guys look good together. Can't really get these guys in the frame, but here is a Juggernaut and an Apocalypse. If you want to mix and match your lines, here is the Mafex Cyclops and the Mafex Jean Grey, and these things scale okay. The Wolverine does need to be a little bit short, but yeah, this is the best we're going to get. Okay, so final thoughts on these guys. I do like the Bishop figure. I do think it's a nice upgrade to the previous Bishop that we've had. I just don't like how it only has the one head sculpt. And it also doesn't come with another fist, which kind of sucks because if you want him throwing up some hands, then you're going to have one fist and one open palm. The Wolverine, though it looks nice, and I'm happy with the nice straight claws, I do find that the cracking in the bicep is unacceptable. And then the lack of paint on the fur just kind of looks silly, to be honest. So only pick these guys up if you're a huge X-Men fan and you love Marvel Legends. If you found this review helpful, hit that thumbs up and the subscribe buttons. Leave a comment below on whether or not you're picking these guys up. Head on over to Instagram at plastic.life with a Y to check out some of my toy photography. Always remember, it's your collection. Buy whatever makes you happy. I hope you check out my next videos. Take care.